school pride. Hey, what's up you guys? I have made it my New Year's resolution to post on this channel like every 2 weeks, once every 2 weeks at least. And I know college applications are around the corner, and so I figured I would kind of do like a answer video to a bunch of questions that I've seen online and questions that I had when I was applying this time last year, because I realized that there's not a lot of stuff out there on NYU Tisch. Within acting, you have 7 different studios. You have Experimental Theater Wing, Strasberg, Atlantic, Adler, Meisner, the musical theater studio called New Studio on Broadway, and Playwrights Horizons, which focuses more on playwriting and directing and kind of the behind the scenes of acting. So one of the main questions that I had when I was applying to NYU Tisch was, how do I know if I'm going to get in or not? How do I know if I have a good enough shot? Honestly, with NYU Tisch, you just do not know. It sucks because it's 50% talent-based and 50% academic. So it is important that you do have test scores, you know, SAT or ACT, as well as AP or IB exam grades that are, you know, at least average, if not slightly above average. For me, my test scores were a little below average, and so I was really worried about how that would play out when I was applying. But you know, you do have the added benefit of 50% of it is based on your artistic review. So you do need to submit your SATs, you need to submit your high school grades, you need to submit a headshot. Now, I was worried about this because I have never had a professional headshot taken, but I got in using an iPhone selfie, so you really don't have to stress out about the headshot. Just get someone to take a picture of you on your iPhone, make sure that you're against a white background and that the image quality is pretty good, and just make sure it looks professional. If it looks professional, they won't have an issue whether or not it was taken with a professional photographer or if it was just something you took at home. It doesn't matter. So basically on your resume, don't be afraid to put anything artistic that you've done. Obviously, everything that you've done will be, you know, an advantage. Everyone has to do 2 monologues that are contrasting. So it could be a dramatic and a comedic monologue. It could be like a sad and a happy monologue. Whatever you choose, just make sure that it's age appropriate. You know, it's more believable if you're playing a role that is near to your age and something that, you know, you feel comfortable playing. So for me, I had to send in my videos online by around February 1st, I think. I applied regular decision. And once I had done that, I had to arrange a Skype interview. So they called me on Skype, and that's how we did our interview. I know if you audition in person, you do your 2 monologues for them, and then they ask you questions while you're there. So if you're doing it online, it's more of a 2-part process. If you're doing it in person, they take care of all of that in one go. I know for the musical theater studio, you have to also prepare a song, like 32 bars of a song, and I think that can just be anything, you know, any style that you think best suits your voice. And then they teach you a dance, which you then have to perform in a group. So you don't have to prepare anything for the dance section, just, you know, come dressed appropriately. You can kind of push them towards one studio. I mentioned that I loved Stanislavski, and so I think that's why they put me in a studio that was more naturalistic in, you know, its approach to acting, as opposed to the Experimental Theater Wing, who does a lot of, you know, experimental acting techniques. So you can, I mean, you can also mention which studio you would like to be in, but ultimately they make the decision. And what I did was I just didn't have a preference, and I took what they gave me and I looked into it, and I really loved the sound of the studio. And every studio has so many good things about them that you really can't go wrong with any of the studios. You just have to consider whether or not you'll be happy studying that type of acting for the next 2 years of your life, because you do have to stay 2 years in your primary studio. Tisch gives you a lot of opportunities, and that is one of the main reasons why I did choose to go to Tisch, is because you're living in New York City. You know, if you want to do stage theater, New York City is the perfect place to be. You're right on Broadway. You have so many opportunities to go and see shows, you know, work with incredible people. So I'd say that is one of the biggest pros, is that you are in, a major theater city, which is, always important in terms of opportunities and making connections with people that might be useful for you in the future. Other than that, I wish you guys all luck, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'm going to do a little bit more about what it's like to study at NYU and live in the city when I get back to the city. So yeah, if you guys want to know more about NYU, then do stay tuned. Bye.